It's improved seats on ARCN television in the capital city of Abuja, Nigeria. I am Hilda Homself Wantwam, and I'm welcoming you to another episode of the program. Today, I'm again here with my plant breeder, Miss Andrea Dama, where we're going to discuss about bio-fortified crops in Nigeria. Are they a blessing or a curse to us? How important are they to farmers? Should we adopt them or we should neglect them? This and more will be discussed after this short break. Improved seeds on ARCN television. Stay tuned. Biofortification is the process by which the nutrient density of food crops is increased through conventional plant breeding or improved agronomic practices or modern biotechnology without sacrificing any characteristics that is preferred by consumers or most importantly to farmers. Example of biofortification projects include iron biofortification of rice, beans, sweet potato, cassava and legumes, zinc biofortification of wheat, rice, beans, sweet potato and maize, provitamin A carotenoids biofortification of sweet potato, maize and cassava. All of these biofortification methods aim to increase the amount of vitamins or nutrients compared to what is normally present in the plant. It is a powerful tool that could address malnutrition, particularly for those in developing countries where access to nutrient-rich foods can be limited. Biofortification is a very feasible and cost-efficient approach. It is easier to deliver the necessary micronutrients to large populations of developing countries. There are three ways to apply biofortifications to plants. This is achieved by agronomic practices, breeding of plants, and genetic engineering. The three primary biofortification techniques are the uses of fertilizer to improve the number of micronutrients in plants through agronomic practices. It is used in soil conditions that are deficient in base micronutrients and minerals. The selective breeding of plants. The technique uses the breeding methods of plants in a traditional way. The genetic variations are sufficiently produced for a particular trait that is desired. Crossing various breeds of plants over many generations is done. Then it finally yields a plant with high nutrients. The genetic modification method, which uses the DNA of an organism to insert the desired characteristics. Agriculture is the primary source of minerals and nutrients for all humans, especially for the developing countries' population. Staple foods are a primary dietary source in most countries. These foods are deficient in many vitamins and micronutrients. The agronomic practice of biofortification is a way to improve the mineral, vitamins, and micronutrient content. This biofortification method uses fertilizer with micronutrients so that the plant takes the micronutrients. The plant also uses these micronutrients for various plant functions. There is an addition of these bacteria such as plant growth promoting bacteria to the agricultural soil. This is a popular method because these microbes restore the quality of the agricultural soil. It aids in the assimilation of the nutrients. It improves the water uptake, and the plant's growth is improved by the release of various hormones and antibiotics. This method is a cost-efficient and quick solution to fix the soil. This also helps conserve soil fertility by making micronutrients available to plants and increasing the nutritional value of the crops. It also helps in crops such as sorghum, maize, cassava, and millet. Good management of field nutrients has a positive ecological and economic impact. It also improves the availability of micronutrients. This practice is relatively new and used for a few nutrients such as zinc and iodine. It did not succeed with nutrients such as iron. The success of this method depends on the geographical location where it is practiced. All right, I'm glad you're still here with us. Before we went on the short break, I told you that I am here with Miss Andrea Dama, a plant breeder, and we are going to discuss on biofortified crops in Nigeria. Are they a blessing or a curse? Welcome to the program, Miss.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure having you here.
Likewise, always glad to be here.
All right, thank you so much for finding time to be here. All right, we're going to talk about biofortified crops in Nigeria. What are biofortified crops? What are the history? When did our farmers get to know about this?
Okay, so let me start with the history.
Yes.
Biofortified crops are crops that try to answer a question of what we call malnutrition or hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is when you see somebody very healthy, looking good, strong, but then there is something he's deficient in.
Okay.
Now we have a population across the globe that keeps increasing, and even some policies of government policies try to say, okay, reduce the number of children you give birth to. No, people do not listen to that. So over time, we notice research has shown that pregnant women are deficient in the intake of vitamin A, in zinc, in iron, and in folate. Also, children between 0 to 5 years, before they start school, are also deficient in that vitamin. So, also in some countries, especially sub-Saharan Africa, underdeveloped countries, it leads to deaths in children. Girls and women 15 to 49 years lose a lot of blood, they are anemic, and it results to their deaths. So various means which adopted, is it the fertilizer we use? We notice that it doesn't increase those nutrient content. Remember I said vitamin A, zinc, and iron. It doesn't improve or increase those nutrient content. So we also know that we are low income countries. We don't have so much money to be able to buy this, buy that in order to meet those nutrient deficiency. So instead of doing that, a field of plant breeding that tries to answer the question of hidden hunger, malnutrition, try to see how we can harness these micronutrients into a crop. You're buying one crop, then you're able to consume not just carbohydrate and the like, those micronutrient contents are being met. So in Nigeria, biofortification started around 2003 with cassava. Everybody takes gari. It's very rare for you to go to a house that people don't take gari. So we looked at it as a crop that it's very important to our household, especially poor households that consume gari.
Then
even now the rich, everybody consumes gari. So we looked at it as, okay, everybody in a household, so we can try to meet or increase that content. So for cassava, it was vitamin A that was increased. So over time, it took a while, before those biofortified varieties of cassava were released, until 2018, 2019, before they became upscaled in the market, where seed companies now picked them, and then it's now common around southwest Nigeria, and even in northern Nigeria, you see people try to promote biofortified foods in potato. We have provitamin A potato. Then there are other cereals like millets that have been improved for zinc and iron. Then wheat is also upcoming. So at that point, when it was released, the problem was adoption. People were scared. There were no seed companies to upscale them from the hands of the plant breeders. But now I think we have Harvest Plus is doing a good job. It's getting to the rural target population.
Wow. So that is interesting, because I remember when we visited a particular farm and cassava was cultivated, and of course they showed us the different fortified cassava. It was yellowish, they told us it was more nutritional and stuff like that. All right, now with the introduction of this and a lot of seed breeders are already going into this, are they also GMOs?
Biofortified crops are GMOs, but GMOs are not biofortified crops. Now biofortified crops can be produced in two ways, either agronomically or through what we call transgenic means. which is the GMO
Oh,
method.
it does.
Now, when we say agronomically, it is simply, now you know in the process of plant breeding, when you're trying to get a variety,
Yeah.
you look for another variety that is has that nutrient available, or that trait you're looking for, that character available, and another that does not have. So you use the conventional method to cross them during flowering. You
Okay.
get your seeds, you keep multiplying, test them in different locations before that variety comes. Now you see in this case you didn't tamper with anything, it was
Yes.
just natural. You can also try to apply fertilizer that have high zinc or iron in them, or vitamin A in them during planting. That is also conventional. So those are agronomic means of getting biofortified crops. Then when you talk of the GMO part of the transgenic means, these are when you have to alter with the DNA. You know, DNAs are proteins, so you just try to alter to change a part of the DNA that does not contain zinc and add that contains zinc. That is faster, unlike in conventional methods where you have to cross, that takes you 10, 13 years. So those other, the transgenic means is faster. So you can have agronomically fortified, biofortified crops, or you can have transgenic biofortified crops.
All right, so it is okay for people to consume it.
Very okay.
What are then the advantages of, fortified crops, against the ordinary normal seeds and normal crops?
Yeah, for biofortified crops, when you purchase, for example, for cereals especially, let me say for wheat, you don't get wheat and just consume wheat seeds like that.
Sure.
It goes through a process. Most of us consume maize flour. We have biofortified maize, provitamin A maize now. We don't directly consume maize like that. There are other ways we mill them to get flour. The child takes pap before he starts to chew the corn grains.
Yeah.
So during milling, you lose. So even if you have naturally occurring zinc or iron or vitamin A in those cereals, when you're milling them, turning them into flour, they lose those nutrients. Yeah. So when you have biofortified cereals, you're able to consume them without losing them during the milling process. Now they are advantageous over normal seeds because, like I said earlier, you don't need to go and buy zinc. Everything is already, you're able to afford those nutrients in one
particular crop
rather than going around. So that makes them more advantageous than normal or conventional seeds that are not biofortified.
All right, that's interesting. This is improved seeds, and we're talking about whether it's a blessing or a curse to use biofortified crops in Nigeria, and she has really highlighted it and told us that it is good, it is right, because the nutrients that are missing in normal conventional crops are gotten in a biofortified crops. We're going to discuss more after the short break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright, this is still Improved Seeds on ARCN television. Before we went on the short break, I told you that we are talking about biofortified crops in Nigeria. Are they a blessing or a curse? And of course, we're told that it's a blessing, although the adaptability is still in the process. People are still trying so much to accept the biofortified crops because they see it as sometimes GMO. But of course, she highlighted that No, it is not. It is not GMO, and it's also GMO. It depends on your aim. It depends on what you want to. You just stay there. She will summarize it for us after the program. So listen and listen well. So now we talked about the different types of biofortified crops that are being adopted right now in Nigeria. I talked about millet, cassava, maize. Now let's take maize for instance. How do we cultivate a biofortified maize?
Biofortified maize, like every other crop,
Okay.
is cultivated just like the normal maize you have.
Okay.
So, and it takes the same number of months. If it's 3 months, 4 months, that's the same process you use.
Okay.
However, if you recycle, like all seeds, if you recycle the
You
seeds,
lose it.
you lose yield. Remember that biofortified crops are not exactly high yielding
Oh.
because they were not bred to yield high. Although there are some varieties for cassava that can yield higher than normal cassava, but for maize, they were bred for provitamin A. So if you're looking for 10 tons per hectare, you're likely not to get up to that amount for biofortified crops. So it is the same agronomic practices you use for, just that you should be careful not to add too much zinc or iron when in your fertilizer application, to make sure you do not exceed the threshold that has already been infused in your greens. So it is the same agronomic practices generally.
So we're now trying to say that the biofortified elements, if I can use, are added into our fertilizers, not into the greens.
They added, biofortification is the process of adding into the greens.
Into the greens.
Then, if you're doing agronomical means of biofortification, you add, there are fertilizers that have those micronutrients in them. So you add those nutrients. So you can have a maize that is not biofortified, plant it, and then you add the required zinc or iron or vitamin A. But remember that most of our farmers do not even carry out soil tests to know the amount of those nutrients to be able to add to meet up. So that's the problem. Most of the times we don't even know what is inside the soil for our crops to uptake. So we don't even know what to add for it to meet up. Wow. So that's where we have gaps. So you now look at it, it's just better to infuse it in the greens and then we are done.
And now, since we have different, weather, different zones that cultivate different crops, the same weather can be cultivated for all the biofortified crops?
Same weather can be cultivated, just that upscaling was a problem.
Okay.
I think some of us grew up seeing yellow maize everywhere. Yes. Then when provitamin A maize came about, a lot of persons say, no, we already have yellow maize, it's not the maize. So it was, adopting it was a problem, telling them that, okay, this one is biofortified and this one is not. So today, I think there are some people who still believe that since I have the yellow maize of my forefathers, I'm settled with provitamin A maize, I don't need the one you are bringing. So it can be grown in every area where the crops can be grown. If you grow cassava in the southeast, southwest, you can also grow biofortified cassava in those locations.
Okay. All right, so for the viewers that just joined in, I told them to stay put so that you can now explain to them that biofortified crops are GMOs and they are not GMOs. So again, enlightening it for those that are just joining us.
Okay. Biofortified crops are GMOs, but not all GMOs are biofortified crops. So that is to say there are two ways of obtaining biofortified crops. One is through the agronomic means and the other one is through the transgenic means. That is where the GMO comes in. Agronomic in a way that when you know the soil status, the nutrient level of your soil, you're able to add zinc, iron or vitamin A or folate to the soil for your crops to be able to uptake. So when you harvest that crop, at that point it is biofortified. You've already added whatever micronutrient that is missing in that crop. Transgenic in the sense that it has to go through the lab. It has to, the DNA has to be adjusted or tampered with somewhat for you to be able to add those nutrients. Agronomic again, in a way that you carry out conventional plant breeding by crossing seeds or crops that have high zinc naturally occurring and those that have low zinc for a number of years, carry out your multi-locational trials and you're able to get your varieties. Remember that conventional breeding takes longer time than the transgenic means. So either way, but because we do not have so much knowledge about our soils. What we know is our soils are being depleted, and we don't carry out soil tests, especially for rural farmers who do not have money to get tests done. So it is safer for you to just buy a biofortified crop or food that you can just consume without having to go through the process of soil testing and knowing the nutrient status and adding and subtracting.
All right. So it is safe and it's good for everybody.
Very safe.
All right. Thank you so much. For our farmers, we are here for them, and we need to also make them understand and give them the confidence that whatever they are going into or practicing is safe and good for them. So can we compare biofortified products or crops? How good and how better, how beneficial are they to our consumers? That's how beneficial are they compared to the normal crops that are being sold in the market? Starting from the farm, starting from the farm, the process, the soil, to the market. Of course, that is the value chain, and then the biofortified crops.
So they are beneficial because we are fighting something that is not, it's hidden.
Okay.
It's hidden hunger. Like I said, it's not something you can see. And then there are people that say the first 1,000 years of a child's life is defined by what he eats.
Sure.
So you might see somebody healthy, but the person is lacking in so many things. We've had mortality rates of pregnant women and girls, children, and it is as a result of this so-called hidden hunger. So from obtaining our seeds, or now there are some companies, seed companies, value chain actors like seed companies that have made it easier for us by milling those biofertilizers into flours. You have children, preschool children are being offered, sometimes free. Harvest Plus does that to an extent. So if we cannot obtain the seeds and plant and nurture and wait till marketing and the rest, we can also obtain the foods that are already in the market. So obtaining the seeds, such seeds are available in our various seed companies. We can also get them. They go through the same processes, and the market is available. I think we're doing a great job in trying to sensitize people in sub-Saharan Africa now, and especially in Asia too, that have that problem. So the market is there. I don't think the fear is so much like that of the GMOs. The biofortified foods have been certified safe. There is nothing so scary that you can see there. Everything is so open before you see. So the market is available for the farmers.
All right. And then farmers should take note that the fact that they are fortified does not mean that they will add to your yield.
Yeah.
Is the nutrient.
Very important.
So yes, that's something that they have to know, because a lot of them think that since we're using this, we should have the way you said it.
Yes.
So you should know that if you go into that, you're going into more of the nutrient aspect of it than the yield aspect of it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being part of this program. Do you have anything to tell our farmers?
Yeah. Just to note again that malnutrition or hunger is very real. There is hunger that we can see. There is hunger that we cannot see. So we need to be careful from pregnancy to delivery to, when we get to even adults, we are also threatened by malnutrition deficiency, especially in Africa and Asia. Good that we have government policies in Nigeria that encourage research or malnutrition, the fight against malnutrition. So everything is available for us. It's just for us to grab the opportunity. Let's not always rush about, I want to have 20 tons per hectare, 30 tons per hectare. What are you consuming? It's not about how much, but how well is what you're consuming. So we should also try to look at the nutritive aspects of what we are eating. Let it not be just too much, but let it be healthy for our children, for our women, for our girls, for everybody. So that's where we can have a food secure country.
All right. Thank you so much. You heard it from her, young, bright, and you're very good. Thank you so much for always sharing your knowledge with us and always finding time to come here and enlighten our farmers. All right. Thank you so much for being part of the program. Keep a date with us next time for another episode of the program Improve Seeds. Take good care of yourself. Let's fight hunger, and of course let's do well to eat healthy food. Okay? All right. I am Hilda Hamsem Fatwa. From all of us here is mwah. Take good care of yourself and have a nice time.